Right then, Doina, thanks very much for sending in these questions. Very good ones. A lot of people do get confused with the words of and off, and also the preposition on, which is the opposite of off. So let's have a look at when we use these prepositions, starting with of. We use of to connect two nouns where one belongs to another. For example, the roof of the house, the name of the game, the end of the movie. I think that's quite straightforward. You all know about this usage of. But of can also be a preposition for a prepositional verb. So you have verbs like dream, accuse, consist, for example. And these three verbs, when you use these verbs, you need the preposition of, dream of, accuse of, consist of. Now, as you see, I've written that of is never used as a preposition to create a phrasal verb. So let me just remind you of the difference between a prepositional verb and a phrasal verb. A prepositional verb is when the verb needs a preposition, but that preposition doesn't change the meaning. Dream, dream of, nothing has changed. Accuse, accuse of, the word accuse still has its original meaning. Same with consist. And now we're going to look at phrasal verbs, and you see that the preposition changes the meaning. Okay, so remember this bit. These are the two things that we use of for. Belonging to nouns, two things belonging to each other, one belonging to another, and as a preposition for some verbs. Okay, now let's look at of, so O-double-F. And notice the difference in pronunciation. The other one, which has one F, is pronounced like a V, of, V, and a very short of. Whereas this one is off. So the vowel is different, is O, and the consonant is also different, is F, off. Okay? So off, obviously, is also a preposition, and it is the opposite of on. So on, off, right? And we use these two prepositions, on and off, for surfaces. I think you're familiar with this use. On the table, off the table. On the wall, off the wall. On the ceiling, off the ceiling. Right? So far, so good. I think quite straightforward. But now this preposition of, contrary to of, is very common to be used in phrasal verbs. It becomes the particle in a phrasal verb that changes the meaning. So you have put, but put off, completely new verb, meaning postpone, or call off, which means to cancel, or set off, which means leave, take off, that's rather logical, take off, remove, and show off, which is to boast. Right? So this is all about off. And to finish, let's see when we use on. Now, on is more versatile. Firstly, as we said, it's a preposition for surfaces, on the table, on the wall, on the ceiling. But it's also common for abstract things. Off is not common like that. For example, on the radio, on TV, for transport, on the bus, on the train, on the plane, and days and dates, on Wednesday, on the 7th of June, and other things that are abstract, on the list, for example, on a page. So this is now, there is no logic to this. For these abstract ideas, you need to know the expression. And I have a lesson that you can go to and study these in more detail. Right? And then the last thing about on, that's similar to of, it can be a preposition for prepositional verbs, like depend on, rely on. Remember, the meaning doesn't change. That's why we call them prepositional verbs. verbs that need a preposition. But like of, it creates phrasal verbs as well. So put on is to wear, carry on is to continue, and hold on is to wait, right? Okay, so that's just to directly answer Donya's question. Thank you very much. I hope that's cleared up a little bit the difference between of, remember the pronunciation of, and how we use on and off as prepositions. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. For more on this topic, click here. Remember to also check out my complete online course, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and happy studies!